How urgent is this bill that you have just presented?
It is a good morning for me because I wanted leave, first of all, to see that I move my amendment bill. The leave has been granted, and I'm very happy about that. Secondly, it might be urgent depending on the program of Parliament. If I find that Parliament can even give me next week, I am ready because the draft is attached here. I'm now going to amend a few things, include this and that, panel beat it. So if I'm given a chance, I'll have to come and present my bill.
I need the layman to really understand what you're trying to introduce, because you are saying that parties are not being consulted, but what does the law say? How legally can you defend this?
The law says that a party with the majority members of Parliament in opposition shall produce the leader of opposition in a consultation. But I bet if there is any other party which has ever been consulted on who to become leader of opposition. Now that one is a lacuna because people think that now they are the opposition. No, the opposition, we are all in opposition, though we don't want to be in opposition. So I am saying let us vote for leader of opposition for the good of all political parties on opposition. Yeah.
How do you distance this initiative from internal fights or fights in the opposition?
The internal fights, if they are there, do not concern me. I want to introduce a thing which will actually make us strong, which will actually unite us, which will actually make all of us participate. That is what I want to introduce. And this one is one of those greatest ideas which is going to unite the opposition. Yeah.
Looking at the timing, you have brought this at a time when the leader of opposition has on several occasions rallied the members of the opposition to boycott some of the parliamentary activities. Don't you think people will misunderstand this?
Because when you find there is a problem, don't you solve it? So even that is a problem, that the leader of opposition sometimes want to herd people like he's herding cows. So the only way we can avoid that to be done further is to have an election. Because someone will now respect each and everybody. But the way it is the leader of opposition waking up one morning and say, for us we start like a cabinet, you are not doing this. Now, when you are elected, your voters are important. Yes.
Honorable, what fundamentals are we missing here? Do you have unity in the opposition? Is there a way you can address concerns without looking at the principles of in the Constitution, but the moral principles and anything to do with unity in the opposition?
If you want to bring unity, you listen to each and everybody.
Yeah.
Because we are all human beings with different ideas. You listen. After listening, you form consensus. The Latin call it consensus ad idem. When you get consensus, everybody will follow you. But when you make a decision, as I have said, as a few of us have said, that one will cause scamper. And that is what I'm trying to fight. Because we are soon going into elections. How are we going to go in elections when everybody is on his own? How? So I am trying to actually give medicine to all of that. And I'm very sure it will be very good for all of us.
Then you're also addressing the gaps in the opposition. But they are the same positions in other parties like the ruling government. We have the government chief whip. We have ministers who are appointed by the president, but they also sit in the house. So how different?
That is theirs. I am talking about what is ours. When I'm done with ours, I am going there to solve their problem because I know they fear to solve their problem. So when I'm done with mine, for example, after this, I'm going to seek another leave. I want to move a motion. Actually, Honorable Vaiga had tried to move it, but I'm going to move it again. How do we retire a president? What are his benefits when he's retired? I want to move that one. Immediately after this one, that will be the next. And we are going to do it.
Okay.
How do we retire a president who has been here for 40 years? What benefits does he get from the state? What about his family and all of that? So I'm going to help the nation. We are going to do that. But you have to first clean your area, and then you go to the dirtiest place to clean it.
What privileges will be left in the opposition?
What privileges will be taken from the opposition?
The leader of opposition now, the
Nobody
position will be taken.
It will be us. You mean when we vote for the leader of opposition, privileges are taken away? He will remain with all his privileges without even touching one, even more. I want more to be given to him. So nothing will be touched except voting.
Are you not already citing that DP party where you belong to, because you are not enjoying that numerical strength in the opposition, so you feel you are left behind?
Even when someone is one, why should you leave him behind? There are parties with one MP. Should we leave them out? Because they are few? You need everybody. And we are few. The opposition, we are still few. So we need actually to be one. So now nobody should be left out. Nobody. So for that matter, whatever I am moving is for the good of the whole opposition.
The president once said that at a certain time there will be no opposition. Don't you think this is also part of it?
I think he had just woken up very early in the morning. So he was still thinking of his bed. That was a statement which I would think someone would make very early in the morning when he has just left his bed. Sometimes you are still thinking of your wife and so many other things, even dreaming. The opposition will be here. Yeah.
Honorable mu Luganda mangu ebbago lino ly'oleeta osinzidde ku kino obudde n'ebintu ebiruma abantu mu Uganda, waliwo abajja ogamba nti ekyo kikulu?
Kunze kikulu. Abo abagamba ebyo biri mu mitwe gyabwe, nze mu mutwe gwange kikulu okulaba nga tulonda. Era anaagamba yena nti si kikulu tagenda gye balondera, kubanga nabana baga nti si kikulu ate bagenda kulonda. Kati oyinza oga nti si kikulu. Okulonda kye kimu ku bintu ebisinga obukulu mu democracy. It's the epitome, it's the pillar of democracy. Kati anaagamba nti si kikulu, oyo ajja kuba aliko obuzibu bulala ku mutwe gwe agunyigako n'alaba. Naye nze ndaba nti kikulu. Ekyokubiri, ebizibu ebirala weebiri naye tekigaana kusolovinga kizibu kiriwo ekiri immediate. Ebirala weebiri ate ne ku mulembe gwa Yesu waaliwo ebizibu nakati tebiggwangawo. So ebizibu tebitugaana kukola ku bizibu birala, tebisobola kuggwawo.
Oli ajja kulowooza nti mwagala Justin enteekateeka y'okugoba omwami Ssenyonyi olw'okuba azaaga akugira abamembers abali mu opposition obutakiika mu ntuula nga zino eza parliament.
Nga tugoba waaki? Bamanyi ekyo bagwe tunaalonda. Kati nga tugoba waaki? Bampe ensonga. Era bo bategedde ddi nti twagala mugoba. Nze nja kutereeza ki? Teeka. Ekyokubiri, ani yagamba nti leader of opposition ajja kubeera nga Ssenyonyi? Bali bayinza okukera ku makyaba ekibiina kye ne bamugobe nki. Bayinza n'okuba bamugobye kati mba mutaasizza nga bali tebamulinaako obuyinza, bamulinaako obuyinza nga be bacolleagues be. Ekyo kibi ki?
Oli ogamba nti olw'okuba DP terina abantu abangi abali mu opposition oba amaanyi ago agalonda leader of opposition, kati balinamu kali eri fitina n'enkwi nti obaolya.
Ate ekibiina kya DP kye kibiina kyokka ekitalina fitina, kyokka ekitalina fitina, Democratic Party. Kubanga DP kye kibiina ekitaddewo embeera esobola okukkiriza buli munnayuganda okubeera mu Uganda nga tetumulinaako fitina. Olaba twasonyiwa aba UPC, netubasonyiwa abajjukira Dr. Kawanga Ssemwogerere, yajja wano n'abaga nti abantu bewaffe mubasonyiwe, nabo babasonyiye. Wano wennyini mu Kaunda ground naliwo, nali mwana muto, I was here ng'akikola. Kaakati ekibiina ekirala tekisobola kukikola. Era kyova tujja wano mu Northern Uganda tetulina buzibu. Olwakiri kye twakola. Kaakati DP ebaddewo bwetyo. DP yasonyiwa KY. ebyakolebwa ku DP mu 1960s was too bad. Naye ne tubasonyiwa ne tugaa nti tulina okugenda mu maaso, tetuyinza kubeera nga budakiika tulina akasajja akatono tutambula nako, nedda. So that is the Democratic Party. Ffe tetulina nnugu, ffe twagala kulaba ng'ensi egenda bulungi mu ki. That is why we are for dialogue.
Lwaki obumu buganye mu opposition okutuuka mu okuleeta ekirowoozo nti kati leader of opposition alondebwe mu parliament?
Okulondebwa si kuba nti waliyo obutali bumu. Okulondebwa is democracy. Understand it that way. Okulondebwa is democracy. Si bwe kiri. Kati ate obuzibu bulio. We are just promoting democracy. Simple.
We are in the Northern Uganda and a bill has been presented that the members of the opposition should be the ones to vote or elect the leader of opposition. One, in terms of service delivery, is this the best decision?
The way I look at it, my name is Gilbert Olanya, the Member of Parliament of Kilak South. The bill, to me, it was presented in a very bad motive. It looks as if the NRM, they are trying to use other NUP members to cut down the powers of the opposition on the floor of Parliament. The law that we have now is very sufficient. Let the majority leader of the party appoint the leader of the oppositions and other cabinet ministers. So what is going on now, I'm telling you, it is on a very bad motive. And as the opposition, we need to fight it seriously. The moment they succeed, it means the LOP shall have no power. The chief opposition whip will have no power. And I'm telling you, it's going to disorganize the debate on the floor of Parliament, because you'll be debating at the mercy of members of Parliament, which is very wrong. So our current democracy law does not allow that, and we don't support that.
The leader of opposition, before the sitting today, rallied members in the opposition not to attend this. And could you think that this is also part of the reasons why these people are coming up with such?
Yeah, the way I look at it, I feel Parliament and the presiding officers are trying to target the leader of the opposition because he's being very strong and very straight. I recall when the leader of opposition was announcing that this sitting is the wastage of taxpayers' money. And at the end, he said, we are not going to participate. So I really feel this one could be part of the ploy to stream and to cut down the power of the leader of the opposition. I think it is a calculated move. The way I look at it, if he was to bring this on in a good faith, he should have brought this before the opposition caucus. Let all the opposition sit together and we agree on the modality of doing this. But bringing it onto the floor of Parliament, it indicates that there is some ill motive, that they are using these people to disorganize the opposition intentionally.
Thank you. Honorable, what is your take on Honorable Lumu's bill which has been presented for the first reading?
You see, there has been issues which were not resolved in Parliament.
Yes.
They talk about opposition, but when it comes to the leadership of opposition in Parliament, it is one party that has powers to choose the leaders, including the leader of opposition. That, for example, a party with the majority will choose the leader of opposition. Now, by doing that, they do not consult other political parties which are in opposition, because there are many political parties in opposition. And opposition is supposed to be one voice, not from the party with the majority, according to my understanding. That is his view. But also, importantly, in the Constitution, Article 82A, specifically 2, it gives a provision of Parliament shall, and they use the word shall. It has a provision that Parliament can make a law to decide on how the leader of opposition should have an office, and even since they have an office. And the argument of my colleague is that the law should now be amended to allow all political parties in Parliament to come together and have a vote on who should be their leader. not the single party with the majority to determine the fate of the political parties. Because at the end of the day, it has the number, but these parties also have a vote. So the issue is that the voice should come from different political parties, not the numbers of a political party with many numbers in parliament. I think that is the spirit. And to me, from that angle, unless if there is another hidden agenda, it should be the best democracy. That all parties come together, have a consensus, agree who should be the leader, basing on a number of factors, maybe experience, maybe institutional memory, maybe competence, maybe whatever. Not this business of choosing a leader of opposition because he's your friend, because he was your campaigning manager, because he's your what, no. So that those sentiments should come down, and now we allow democracy to take place. And I think one of the issues that has come out stronger now is this sitting which is taking place here, that a leader of opposition in parliament, but now parliament is here, there is no leader of opposition. Now, if it was a democracy, maybe there will be a leader of opposition, and the leader of opposition would have delegated another person to stand in as a leader of opposition. So as parliament, we are not legally constituted because there must be a leader of opposition in the parliament. So the parliament which is here has no leader of opposition, which is a bit absurd. And again, the other members from political parties, other political parties who are attending parliament here, but it is as if their leader is not there. And the leader, who is the leader of opposition, these other parties are not accountable, or he's not accountable, those parties, because they did not participate in how he became a leader and how he should cease to be a leader. So, looking at the constitution which was made, looking at what is happening now, at times the law need to be amended, either when there is a lacuna or when there is a conflict or something. So what is happening now calls for an amendment that a leader of opposition should be elected by all political parties, but not the one party that has the majority in parliament. Okay. I think that is the spirit.
In terms of service delivery, do you think this initiative that has been under constitutionally provided, does it in any way affect service delivery?
Again, now you go back to what they are trying to cure. When you look at the selection of what I would call shadow ministers,
Yes.
The shadow ministers are supposed to check the other ministers in government. Like now, we are talking about the infrastructure in the Northern Uganda, the state of roads. The real minister would use that word. The real minister now is giving the position on the infrastructure in the Northern Uganda. Now, the shadow minister should be here now to counter what the other one is doing. But because the shadow minister is either a relative, a friend, or an in-law or something of the other party with the majority, now there is no minister here. But if the shadow minister was appointed by all members of opposition parties, now the shadow minister will be here to answer back or to make comments on the presentation of the real minister, including other ministers. So as we speak now, the official shadow ministers being appointed by the opposition and the party, they are basically not here. So there is nobody now who is checking government. So whatever government is saying on the floor of parliament, nobody is checking because the checkers are the shadow ministers. So when your question about the service delivery, you can see the problem. If the government minister is making sweet statements for the sake of sitting in Northern Uganda, nobody has the mandate to check. But if the shadow minister was here, they would be helping us to say, no, you are saying this, but this is not true. Even when members are giving testimonies about what is happening in the state of roads, procedurally, it should be the shadow minister to make a statement. But also finally, in terms of the service delivery you are talking about, the conflict is there because these ministers, the shadow ministers, the way how they are appointed, including the leader of opposition, they are accountable to one person. So these ones, the other parties, to them is just say if he so wishes. But if they had participated in the selection and election of these leaders, they will now be asking, yes, NUP does not want to participate, but UPC is from the north, they want to participate. FDC is here in the north, they want to participate. So where are the people we elected on the merit of DP, UPC or whatever? So that is where I think the whole issue is rotating, that they want to see members, the shadow ministers and the leader of opposition accountable to political parties, not accountable to just an individual or just one party. Yes.
There is the Political Parties and Organization Act, and there are some privileges that are given to the political parties with the numerical strength, and that is in the opposition side, it's SNOP. And then there are budgetary allocations. Now, when we tackle this out, the leader of opposition, won't it also affect the other privileges in terms of the funds allocated to the political parties?
I think now we should look at the bigger picture. We should look at serving people than these individual privileges. The ultimate goal is to serve Ugandans. You are a shadow minister, you are a shadow minister for all Ugandans to serve the other ministers. The issue of privileges should be, I think, secondary. To me, we should look at the service delivery and proper representation. Then the other privileges will come later. But also, if you follow the same procedure and you elect leaders, they will find those privileges there. So let's look at the bigger picture of serving Ugandans than serving our stomachs and ourselves.
Okay.
Yes.
Oyogera ki ku nteekateeka ya mwami Richard Lumu okubanga leader of opposition alondebwa ababaka si political party?
Kati omanyi okukola etteeka oba okugamba nti nno etteeka tulikyuse oluusi emirundi mingi kisinziira ku mbeera kyeriwo. Bwe balaba embeera nga si nnungi oba embeera nga mbi bagamba kirabika wali twakola ensobi, twandibadde tukola bwe tuti. Kati parliament eri mu ggulu etudde wano as a special regional sitting, naye mu parliament kati we tutudde akulira oluli lwa opposition gwe bayita leader of opposition tali wano, naye ate tulina ababaka aba opposition abali wano. Omulimu gwa leader of opposition alina okubeera mu parliament, si bweru wa parliament. Kati parliament bwe begenda mu maaso nga leader of opposition taliyo, ate talina gwe appointees nti jangu mbeererewo siri olw'embeera eri oba endala, kati kiba kitegeeza nti waliwo obuzibu. So kati obuzibu buli mu tteeka. Etteeka lyawa obuyinza ekibiina ekisinga ababaka mu parliament okunoonya leader of opposition ne government ya parliament. Naye ate nibeerabira nti ekyo ekibiina bwe kinoonya omukulembeze as a leader of opposition, biri ebibiina ebirala nabyo babitwalira wamu nga opposition. Kaakati byo tibiina chance, tibiina se ku leader of opposition. Ekyokubiri, tulina okubala ababaka abali mu opposition bavaawa. Buganda NUP yeriyo. Eno mu north gye tuli waliyo UPC, waliyo ne FDC. Kati bagamba ensonga bwe zikwata ku north, ebyobufuzi tubivaamu ntugenda mu bya north kubanga twagala okusavinga abantu baffe. Naye kati tebalina bwe boogera, tebalina voice kubanga abakulira mu parliament leader of opposition taliyo. Ekyokubiri, leader of opposition abeera ne government gye bayita shadow government or shadow ministers. Kati bano ba shadow ministers omulimu gwabwe okulaba nti government wekola ekibi oba bwerimba ajjayo bwino n'agamba nti wano olimbye, bachekinga executive nibagamba oyogedde kino n'ekino. Ekigambo shadow kiba kitegeeza nti oli singa abatakoze ekituufu onaavayo n'agamba nti kino kyayogedde kyo ge mateeka. Kati member of parliament as a member of parliament amateeka tegamukkiriza bulungi okuvaayo n'akyalenjinga minister kyayogedde wa gavumenti. Omutuufu alina omumukyalenginga ye shadow kubanga gwe mulimu gw'okucekinga oli. So kakati bano bagamba aba UPC ne FDC nti kati ffe tuli eno tuli mu north, leader of opposition yava mu NUP tali wano, kati ffe tukole ki? Ate tebamwinako omuyinza either kugamba nti tumugyemu obwesige oba tumupanishinge oba tukole ki kubanga obwo obuyinza tebabulina. Kati kyova olaba koliga avudde ne suggestion n'agamba nti kirabika twakola ensobi mu tteeka, twandibadde ng'ebibiina by'obufuzi byonna ntugenda mu kokasi ne tutuula ntusalawo anaabeera leader wa opposition anaatukulira nga leader waffe. Kati bwe tumala omulonda oyo leader tumugamba nti tugenda mu north, bw'oba togenze tujja kujjamu obwesige kubanga ffe twakunoonya. Naye bw'oba tumwamunoonya tumulina wemutandikira, so ye konsaani y'abano. Ate ekyo basinziira ku ssemateeka kubanga bakiteeka mu ssemateeka akawairo 82A especially ku 2 nga bagamba nti parliament eyinza kukola etteeka erisalawo leader opposition agenda atya mu office atava atya mu office kati bano kye baagala okukosa bagala kukosa etteeka nti kakati tukyuse kubanga kye twarabye si kirungi kati tukyuse etteeka tugambe nti leader opposition ffena tubenga tumukubira akalulu nga ba opposition so sikuva mu gundi mu party emu ng'erina ababaka bangi mu gundi mu parliament so mu mateeka mu constitution mwekiri kye baagala kuleeta constitution ekikkiriza. Ekyokubiri okusinziira kati embeera bano abakulira opposition gye bataddeko kiraze bali bane nti ki twetaaga okuba nga tulina omukulembeze gwe tukubidde akalulu ate nga tumubuuza ebibuuzo n'abiddamu bw'aba tatumatiza tunoonya eky'omukolera naye kati embeera nga bweri tewali kye basobola kukola kubanga tebaparticipatinga tebalina buyinza bakulonda leader of opposition so parliament eri wano etuula eringa eri side emu kati kubanga twali akulira oluyi lwa opposition nono omwami yagambyeho nayo yagambye nti kati ayagala kubeerawo waali naye taliwo mu gundi mu mateeka kubanga tebamuwadde authority okugenda okurepresentinga leader opposition so yeyo ndowooza embeera gye bagezaako okulongoosa okola nti bafuna eddoboozi eryawamu ng'ababaka ava mu opposition from different parties bonna babeere wamu bafune omukulembeze.
Tugambe nti kino kijja kuleeta obumu mu opposition.
Kakati ebintu bibiri ekisooka gwe banaanoonya ajja kuba awuliriza ebibiina so si kubuuliriza kibiina kimu oba omuntu ng'omu kubanga bonna bamuyinako obuyinza. Ekyokubiri bajja kufuna ne chansi nti gwe bataddeko gwe balonze bw'aba akoze obubi oba mu wiiki emu oba bbiri bayinza n'okumuggyako ne bateekako omulala naye kati embeera eriwo tebalina buyinza bwakukola ki bwakumuggyako. Ekyokusatu nti bwe banaanonda ne gavumenti abaminisita be balonda kubanga kati engeri gye babadde banoonya ministers babadde bakola reward bawa ebifo ono muwe obwa minisita kubanga yatuyamba mu kalulu ono muwe obwa minisita kubanga mukwano gwange ono muwe obwa minisita kubanga wa Luganda kati ba minisita ne ba minisita wetwogerera kati wano tubaliyo kubanga abawuliriza oli abalonda bali eri kati ba minisita omulimu gwawo gwa kukuba tooki mu gavumenti byeyogedde bino bya bulimba bino si bituufu bino yonoona ssente bino biki gwe mulimu gwa shadow minister kubanga achekinga gavumenti kati okubanga nti tebali wano gavumenti byonna byenaateeka ku record tujja bitwala nga bwe bitaddeko yadde ng'emubiyinza kubanga ki nga si bituufu kubanga abalina otubuulira oba kituufu si kibuufu wano tebakoze ki tebaliiwo so kati embeera eriwo even etaataaganyiza mu buweereza nti tuli mu kudisikasinga enguuto eno eggulu enguuto mbi esente twaziyisa za kukola amakubo mafu naye ate omuntu olina eddoboozi ery'okwogera ebyo kati taliiwo eyandibadde gundi yandibadde shadow minister so nze ndowooza mutima omulungi ate mu demokarasi ey'ekimmemmete si bino ebyagundi bakkiriziganye banoonye abakulembeze babakubira akalulu gwe tukuwadde obwa leader of opposition gwe tukuwadde obwa chief whip gwe tukuwadde obwa shadow minister gwe tukuwadde buno ate bonna abatokoze tujja kukujjayo tuteekeyo omulala asobola kukola so nze ndowooza mu mutima mulungi kye baagala kirungi especially bwe bagamba nti baagala demokarasi kubanga demokarasi kiba kitegeeza abantu bonna nga bakkiriziganyiza ne bakuba n'akalulu. Era ono aleeta motion yagezaako n'okuwa examples endala n'agamba nti mu parliament ne speaker bamukubira akalulu ne president yennyini bamukubira akalulu nabana ababaka bennyini babakubirako akalulu so kati lwaki ne leader of opposition n'eri gavumenti tebagikubirako kalulu ate ekirungi ekiro kyendaba singa bamala kuyisa kino kyantuyambe nicekinga ne gavumenti yennyini eri mu buyinza oyinza kusanga nti by extension bajja kuba bagamba nti nawe president oba onoonya ba minisita wanobadde weetaagako eddoboozi eddala okunoonya ba minisita so katutandikirawo terawo bakinaatuuka n'eri.
Tweyanza nnyo.